So, I'm the outdoorsy type. I love hiking and fishing, especially during the warmer months. On days of gentle breezes and moderate warmth, it's hard to keep me from the woods. About a week ago, my day off just happened to be one of those days. Finally! It seemed like every bit of free time I had was accompanied by torrential downpours and just overall crappy weather. Of course, it was always sunny while I was at work, slaving away behind my desk, performing menial tasks that were more about company politics than they are about doing my actual job. The weather report that week had predicted a nice Saturday afternoon, as mild and enjoyable as any day that had come before, and I made sure to solidify plans for a day trip. It was no later than 10 a.m. when I left my house and started my car. The sun had already risen, revealing a blue sky above, completely barren of any cloud. Yet, I was alone. But you have to remember, I don't scare too easily, and I frequent hiking trails leading deep into forested terrain all the time. I know and take almost all precautionary measures, bringing ample water, maybe a light snack if I'm only planning on being out for a few hours, good footwear, and I rarely venture off the path. I say rarely because exploration is part of the game. See something odd or interesting, what adventurer isn't going to investigate? Well, you shouldn't. As soon as I stepped off that path, my fate was sealed. What caused me to stray? Smoke. From where I was on the trail, the valley it cut through, I couldn't tell if the column-like plume of smoke emanated from a campfire or if the forest was ablaze or what have you. So, pulled by inquisitiveness and a strong desire for correcting mental disequilibrium, I stepped from the path and headed up the hill, deeper off the trail and into the thick timberland. Honestly, I thought the source of the woody smoke was closer than it had been. I had been trekking through thick underbrush and upon sticky earth for the greater part of 15 minutes or more, and I was moving at a good pace. But finally, I reached a very, very small clearing and came upon a sight that stopped me dead in my tracks. What I was looking at wasn't impossible, just highly improbable, and its rarity accented the strangeness of it all. It was a small shack, as if built by small scraps of fallen timber and random usable refuse, the smoke billowing from a small chimney at its top. The exterior walls and roof were patched together in a haphazard fashion that lent a sense of deformity to its appearance. The grass surrounding the thing was almost 3.5 feet high, but from where I stood in the soft earth, I could see the inside likely had no floor. The grass in front of the door had been beaten down into the mud, along with a few random trails and small areas that surrounded the thing, one of which I realized that I was standing upon. The sodden earth that comprised the forest floor here seemed to continue on into the aperture that had no visible door. It seemed like a simple hermit hut, but something felt terribly wrong. Like every nerve in my body was screaming at me to run the fuck away. But something caught my focus before my body could heed my mind, and I was now stuck, paralyzed, staring closer at all the barren wet dirt that surrounded this place. Footprints. But not just any footprints. I made 2 or 3 steps closer to one, closer to the shack, to see the prints were the size of a Bigfoot print, like 15 inches in length. However, instead of 5 digits, the print was tipped with only 3, with a small yet deep hole burrowed into the ground at the distal end of each. Claws. Whatever this thing was, It was huge and had 3 toes, each tipped with large claws. What the hell? I asked softly to myself out loud. I wondered where this thing had gone, if the hermit here knew that something terrible was stalking his residence. But that's when I noticed it. The prints led all around and then inside of the shack. But there was none coming out. I got a little bit closer, hoping to be wrong and find a perfectly healthy, normal human being inside with an incredible story to tell. "Hello?" I called out, half hoping someone inside would hear me and half hoping nothing would be there to hear me at all. That's when I was answered back by the most terrifying sound that I had ever heard in my life, a sound as unearthly as it was blood-curdling. In the same instant as my now welling and ever-consuming terror, the exact thing I hoped wouldn't happen did. The thing's monstrous, dark, hairy form lurched forward from the cabin's entryway like some kind of terrifying nightmare visage, as if the shack had vomited the essence of fear. Its forelimbs, or maybe arms, were long, its black fur matted and lengthy, and it appeared so tall because the beast stood on 2 legs. At about 7 feet at its top, I saw 2 gleaming eyes and a row of sharp teeth, all aimed at me like a targeting system of the deranged. I scrambled from my half-fallen position as I turned to run, sprinting back towards the safety of the trail and my car. I don't know if it chased me. If it did, I didn't hear it, and I never turned around to see. I thought for sure that I was going to die. By the time I had reached my vehicle, my muscles burned with lactic acid, and my lungs gasped for the air that they so desperately needed. Taking not a moment to collect myself, I unlocked the vehicle, jumped in, and both shut and locked the door behind me. I peeled from place and shot down the road, but I knew I needed to stop and calm down, lest I suffer an anxiety attack behind the wheel. A few moments later, I pulled my car over to the side, miles from where I had seen that thing. What was it? Did it eat the hermit? Did it live there? I reached for my phone, hoping to look up information on strange animals living in the forests of North America, maybe to try and understand. But that's when I noticed it wasn't there. My phone was gone. I must have dropped it when scrambling to abscond from that abomination. Flustered that I lost my phone, but hell-bent on not going back to retrieve it. I sat for a few to calm my nerves, but eventually slowed my racing heart and pulled from the side of the road, heading for home. The rest of the drive, and that night at home, nothing was out of the ordinary. I jumped online to post about my experience and got into a heated argument over how the thing was definitely not a Sasquatch. But eventually, fatigue had caught up to me, and sleep took me for the night. It wasn't until the following morning when I went outside to get the paper that I realized that the event was far from over. Right there on my front porch, just beyond the doorway, was my phone, just laying upon the boards. I don't know what that thing is, or how it did it, but somehow it found me. This thing was no animal. It was smart enough to follow me or find me at my home. But the worst part, the thing that made me dread turning my gaze to look, was the sensation of something off to my side, just out of sight, breathing hot, heavy breaths down my neck. social media can be very unpredictable, especially regarding horror content. If this content gets removed, all new content will be simultaneously presented on various websites provided in the description to this video. Make sure to follow me in other digital spaces so that you never miss out on the terror. Also, if you like this video, make sure to leave a comment and hit the like button. It helps the channel a lot. If you're new to the channel and you enjoy what's here, consider hitting that subscribe button and the notification bell so that you never miss an upload. Writing is a dream of mine, and it's all of you that make that dream come true.